The X-Men movies are, at this point, rife with plot holes, thanks to contradictory timelines, characters coming back to life for no reason, and the ever-changing properties of adamantium.
The tricky thing about adamantium is, once the metal cools, it's indestructible.
But let's not let a few bad plot holes make us prejudiced. Here's 3 plot holes in the X-Men movies that actually make sense.
You can fire your arrows from the Tower of Babel, but you can never strike gold!
Number 1. XMen Apocalypse's nuclear disarmament. One thing fans were quick to jump on in XMen Apocalypse was the fact that the titular character rids the world of its nuclear arsenal in his first step to bring about, as his name would imply, the apocalypse. You would think that a guy who wishes to wreak havoc across the world would want to utilize those nukes instead of launching them into space where they can safely fall back to Earth, I guess? I don't know. But what I do know is this. Apocalypse is kind of a technophobe. He's been asleep since people were still building pyramids the old-fashioned way, with telekinesis, and he is not happy to wake up to find that people are calling themselves superpowers when they have no actual, superpowers. He sees technology as a way for the weak to steal the birthright of the strong. And can you blame him for having a fear of technology? This is a guy who was beaten last time by simple physics. If he can be taken out by a handful of people who don't even have the wheel, how do you think he feels about nuclear weapons? Also, it's important to note that the type of apocalypse he wishes to cause is not the end all life on the planet type, but rather a cleansing of the weak from the earth type. He wishes to destroy everything built by this weak technological society and build a new one. So, some people do have to survive. He just doesn't want the militaries of the world going all end of Avengers on him and firing a nuke his way. Number 2. How did Logan end up with Stryker again? At the end of Days of Future Past, we see Logan in the custody of Mystique, posing as Stryker, an encore of a trick she used earlier in the film to free a group of mutants from impending experimentation. But by the time Apocalypse rolls around a decade later, we see that Stryker got to Wolverine after all and put him through the Weapon X program, thus giving him his adamantium skeleton. But how is this possible? Well, actually it's really simple. Mystique was not kidnapping him or putting him through her own experiment. She was freeing him, just like she did with other mutants and continued to do for the next decade. So it's pretty safe to assume that Logan, having no memory of the events of Days of Future Past, went back to his usual life. I almost hate to say this, but all the events of X-Men Origins Wolverine could have still played out about the same. Well, except for Wade Wilson being this old in the 70s. But some variant of Wolverine teaming up with Stryker and going through the Weapon X program is not too hard to imagine.
Hello, Logan.
Number 3. Professor Xavier's new body. For those of you who do not remember The Last Stand, or who have chosen to push it deep into the recesses of your mind, it is important to know that about halfway through the movie, Professor X is killed by Phoenix in a way that would make healing his body just impossible. In the after-credit scene, we join Moira McTaggart's daughter, I guess, who works in a hospital with a brain-dead patient, who surprises her one morning by turning to her and saying,
Hello, Moira.
Thus implying that the professor transferred his consciousness into the new body. This, of course, doesn't explain why he looks the same, why he is still in a wheelchair, or how he even retains his powers once he's put into a completely different genetic body from his own. For that last one, we can thank his old buddy Apocalypse, who must have taught him something about consciousness transference and power transference that time that he tried to, take over his mind along with everyone else in the worlds. And we can see from Days of Future Past and Logan that anything that cures Charles of a neurological illness such as paralysis or seizures seems to also take away his power, which makes sense, since his power is neurologically based. So, it seems that transferring the neurological makeup of a fully powered Charles Xavier into this new body causes it to be paralyzed. As for why it looks the same, I don't know. Maybe it was a clone. We didn't really get a good look at it, or maybe he occupied that body for a time and then had a clone of himself. No, wait, I got it. Since he's able to transfer his powers over, which are caused by genetics, maybe he's able to transfer his entire genetic code over and essentially make the body his own. There we go. That's probably it. Plot hole solved, everyone. Well, what did you think? Leave me a comment below to let me know. Like the video for those of you who don't even need words. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and why don't you click one of these other videos? I got a lot of them. They're all good, trust me. But whatever you do, thanks for watching.